So I'm with Chloe. Chloe is a first year student at UC Berkeley. Go Bears! And we met the second semester of your junior year. Tell me a little bit about where you're now, UC Berkeley, but like what are you
Mhm.
studying and what does like a normal day look like for you when you're in school and not on break?
I'm majoring in statistics right now, hopefully minoring in DS soon. I'll go through like my Mondays. Okay. So I wake up at like 9 a.m., I'd say, and then I'd get ready, go to class, and then I'd have class from like 10 to 12. And then after I'd go get lunch, go back to my dorm, chill for a bit, and then I'd go back to campus for my other class, 2 to 4. And then after that, I'd get dinner with my friends, get some homework done at my dorm, and then I'd have to go to my sorority's chapter meetings at like 6-ish to like 7:30. And then I'd go back to my dorm, shower, and then sometimes I'd go to the academic center, the library, to study with my friends, get some homework done. And then sometimes after that, we would go get a sweet treat somewhere late at night, and then I'd go to bed.
Sounds chill. What's been the biggest surprise about college so far, now that you've been
Mm,
through it for one semester?
the idea that Berkeley is, like, full of nerds, cause I don't think it's full of nerds at all, but, like, yes, it is, like, competitive and stuff, and, like, a lot of people are, like, really smart and, like, the classes are difficult like everyone says it is, but, like, it's also super fun. Like, I think, like, the social life there is, like, really good, and it's, like, pretty easy to make friends there, especially, like, your freshman year, so
How did you make friends?
the first week, we had orientation, and then you make friends within your orientation group, and then once you move into your dorm too, like, a lot of people, like, just go around knocking on doors. You can make friends that way, and then in your classes, obviously, and then if you're in any clubs, that's also a good way to make friends.
Going back a little bit, give us some like background about how you grew up.
I grew up near San Jose, and then I went to a public high school.
When did you start thinking about college and how was that journey? What was that process like before we met?
As a kid growing up in the Bay Area, college is always something that kids talk about. Like, I remember being in like elementary school and kids would be talking about college then, but I don't think people start thinking about it more, like stressing about it until like their junior year of high school, which is like when all the hard classes hit and then you start worrying about your GPA more. And then you realize, like, oh my gosh, like next year I have to start applying to college and stuff. Or like in a year from now, like I'd already know like where I'm going to college. So I didn't really like think that hard about it until like my junior year.
Ah, interesting. Okay. One of my next questions is like, how did you spend your time outside of school and why? But when we met, you were
Mhm.
involved in a lot. You were co-president of Girls Who Code. You were president of VSA, Vietnamese Students Association. And you were
Mhm.
also either treasurer or secretary of like student government.
Yeah.
That is a lot, but it also goes to show, how involved you were in school. Was that something you knew you wanted to get to by the time you were like a senior, or how did all the activities outside of school develop?
For Vietnamese Student Association. That one I always knew I wanted to join because my mom told me about how like when she went to high school, she was also in VSA. So I was like, okay, I want to join VSA too, just like follow her footsteps for fun. Back then, I had the idea of like, oh, like I want to major in like computer science maybe or do something with like coding. So I was like, okay, I'll join Girls Who Code to learn how to code. And then for student government, I did ASB in middle school, so I just decided to continue it in high school too. And then sophomore year was when I decided to apply or run for an officer position.
Running for officer positions, or what made you want to do that for all three of these big activities too?
For VSA, started off with choreographing dances, and then through that, I worked a lot with the officers, and I was like, okay, this is pretty fun. So that's why I applied for VSA. For Girls Who Code, during that time, I applied to teach kids how to code over the summer, and then through that, I applied because I was like, okay, like I'm working with the officers a lot here too. I could do this again, except not during the summer, just throughout the school year. For ASB, my freshman year, I wasn't an officer. I was just in regular leadership, just helping out. But then officers were in a different period and they got to work on different events. And I really wanted
Mhm.
to work on those events too. So I was like, I'll apply and run and give it a try and see if I could get in and work on these events too.
I love that. That's awesome. It sounds like a lot of it came really naturally. It's always interesting with extracurriculars. Sometimes people don't have any, or they do them because they feel like they're forced to. And we never really talked about that, because when I saw all the things you were involved in, I was like, you're very involved outside of school, so that's great. And you were like taking on a lot of responsibility and leadership, which is awesome. But for some people, that's not the case, because they either don't have that or they are kind of forcing it, if you know what I mean. Like, I just need to
Yeah.
get this position because it'll look good. When we started writing, a lot of that authenticity really came through. Whereas with some other students, I do have to like question and
Hmm.
ask, can you tell me a little bit more why you actually do this? And then it turns out the answer is like, thought it would look good for apps. So you didn't have that problem, which is very, very nice. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
What kind of advice would you give for a high school student who does want to like make their extracurricular profile for college apps stand out, but at the same
Mhm.
time, because it's the way to do it, and then like kind of force something they don't really want to do?
It's gonna sound cheesy, but like, do something you want to do. Because I had a lot of friends in high school and they only joined clubs because it would look good. But because of that, like a lot of times when they did have positions, they would just get Nepo babied in by their friends and they really wouldn't do anything. And I think when you're not really helping or like experiencing what it's like to lead a club, then you're not going to gain any experience or you're not going to learn anything from it. And because of that, you're not going to really have anything to write about in your essays for college. So do something you enjoy doing, but also make sure you're doing stuff and not doing nothing and you're just there for the title, because I had a lot of friends who did that.
Good advice. Good advice. What changed for you mentally going from junior to senior year?
The realization that it was time to lock in, especially for college apps, because like in your freshman and sophomore year, you're like, okay, I still have so much time. Like I'm here for 4 years. I still have a lot of time to join clubs and stuff. But then your junior year, you realize a year from now, I'll know like where I'm going to college and need to start thinking about what I'm doing now. I think senior year, I learned a lot more time management, because it was a lot of like balancing like not just schoolwork, but like my clubs and like homework, but also like doing college apps at the same time as all of those activities.
There were many times where we'd be on the Google Docs and then I see your little bubble still on there. I'm like, dang, it's getting kind of late. During senior year, what do you feel like was the most overwhelming?
Probably just like writing the essays, because after I reread it so many times, I was like, okay, it's starting to sound boring. Like, are the admission officers gonna even like this? Because I don't know, I just read it so many times and it got really boring to me. And then I think waiting for decisions was definitely scary for everyone, because I remember whenever one decision would come out, the whole group chat would be like, okay, this college just came out. Check, this college just came out. I was just so scared, and I was prepared to go to community college because I was like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna work.
I remember last year together, I don't think you like freaked out that much. Maybe you just did like without telling me. What advice would you have for students going through the waiting process right now?
Just relax. It's honestly like fine. Like I was the same and I was like really stressed inside, and I would always talk to my friends like, oh my gosh, like let's just go to community together. We don't get anywhere. We're so done for. Like we're actually cooked. But like think after decisions came out, or like yes, I did get some rejections and I was like, okay, like it's fine. Like community is always like an option. I opened up my decision for Berkeley and I was like, am I reading this right? Because I honestly didn't think I'd get in, because the same day it came out was a few days before Trojan Olympics, was just like one of like the biggest events for my school. And I was an officer and we were working on our like last minute decorations and all of us were really stressed. And I remember someone said that Berkeley came out and I was like, okay, I'm not checking that right now. Like I gotta get this stuff done. And then I took a bathroom break, and while I was in the bathroom was when I opened up the acceptance for Berkeley. And then I was like, okay, like I already got rejected from other schools. I'm just gonna get this rejection and go back to painting and working on my decorations. And then I saw the confetti and I was like, is this like a glitch or something? And then I read it, and I think I reread it so many times because I thought I was hallucinating or going crazy or something. But yeah, I think it's okay because everything always works out in the end. So just don't stress. too much about it and enjoy your senior year.
Yeah, I was super happy for you for a lot of reasons, but also because, yeah, you earned it. You worked so hard on the essays, and that's why I'm there. When you reread it so much that's boring to you, I will tell you if it's still good or not, and it was. But also, Berkeley, is always usually the last UC that comes out, like end of March, actually kind of
Yeah.
like near the end of all college
Yeah.
applications. So that must have been a nice surprise for you.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think you misunderstood about the college admissions process, or what were you maybe scared of?
I misunderstood the writing process a lot because I thought it would be me staring at a blank Google Doc and coming up with some random sob story on my own. But it was very different because you made me do all those exercises and all those worksheets, which, like, at some point I was like, okay, why am I thinking of my favorite food? But I think doing that honestly really helped me organize everything a lot. And it made me realize what I accomplished a lot more and the lessons I learned throughout all the activities I did, because without those worksheets, I wouldn't have been able to come up with that stuff on my own. So that was definitely helpful.
Yeah, did you think you had to write a sob story?
I feel like when everyone thinks of college apps, they're just like, okay, it's fine. I'll just write some sob story, some random inspiring story. That's just what I thought it would be, because a lot of my other friends who did have help with their college essays, they would just like write it on their own and their person would just add comments. And that was like how they did it.
Yeah, I'm glad that wasn't the case for you. And also because not everyone has a big traumatic sob story. That's not even maybe the right thing to write sometimes. If it's like recent, it's very difficult to write about an open wound that's still healing. Looking back, I wasn't worried for you because you had done so much from high school, the beginning, all the way to when we started writing, that I knew it was just a matter of getting you to like think and like reflect on it and that things would be there. You had so many interesting parts of your life that I knew was going to work, and it just had to be put together in a very Chloe way, and you did that. What did you think I would help you with, and then what surprised you once we actually got into it?
I think I just expected it to be the same way my friends had it, because the only help they got was basically a peer editor who would comment on their work, because they chose all the prompts themselves, they chose all the topics, they wrote everything on their own first, and then their college consultant would just like go through the essays and just like highlight and then comment and be like, fix this or like change this. But you didn't do that. You like were really hands-on, and I think you helped a lot, because a lot of the times I didn't know what topic I should do, what I should mention within my essays, but I think you helped a lot with figuring out what lesson I learned and showing the growth I had in my essays. So
the UCs, have their PIQs, so you got to choose 4 out of 8. There definitely is a lot to kind of strategically thinking about, like, hey, if I'm talking about maybe this one activity in a certain way that shows one side of me, in the other essays, am I repeating myself or am I showing a different side of me? And because you had so many experiences, commitments that you were invested in, I think you talked about like, I think one huge moment or long moments from like every club in like every essay, which is cool to see. And you talked about them in a different way, where it wasn't just like, I was a leader in VSA, I was a leader in ASB, and I was a leader in Girls Who Code. It was like very nuanced, like each one was like a little bit different. That showed what you learned. Was there a moment during the process where something really like for you, whether it was a realization, a conversation, some type of like through moment?
Just like realizing all the accomplishments I did, because at first I didn't really realize that I did that much or I learned that much from my experiences, because I was like really in it for like the community or just to do it. But I think after the exercises and everything you did, it really helped me realize what lessons I learned and like how I changed or how I grew from these experiences. That's why I felt really happy with like the topics I chose to write about.
Was there anything that you initially pushed back on or didn't fully buy into at first?
The exercises at first, I was like, okay, like this is gonna be a lot to write, because like I remember you had that whole chart of like what I did and like how I grew from it and like the lessons I learned, and I was like writing a bunch of stuff, and I remember talking about like chea, which is like that one Vietnamese dessert, and I was like, should I really be writing about this random food right now? But I think it was really helpful because I actually referred back to the exercises a lot whenever I didn't know what to write.
I'll keep like giving you your flowers. You really put in the work. And with the brainstorming, usually I just ask students to just write enough that works for you so you remember what you want to say later on. But you wrote a lot, which I think is always good because some of that stuff you write in the beginning does actually make it to the end. You actually gave 100% on every single one. By the end of all our brainstorming, we had so much content, again, that I wasn't worried.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, they do a lot of brainstorming, but they don't give it their all or take it seriously. And then
Mhm.
they come out of it with just like a little bowl of food, a bowl,
Mhm.
one bowl of ingredients, and hard to make like a bunch of different essays from that bowl. But you had like a whole table laid out of like fruits, veggies, everything that you're able to like chop up and like, put together into so many different essays. So I'm very appreciative that you did that. Overall, during your senior year, what's one decision you made that you're especially grateful for now?
I think, well, I'm grateful that you helped me because, to be honest, I always talk to my friends about this one. Yeah, I think if it wasn't for my college person, I'd probably be at community right now. Like I low key probably wouldn't even be like at a UC. But I'm like really grateful that you made me do all those worksheets, even though at times it would be like late at night and I'd be like, bro, I'm writing about some random stuff right now, but it's okay. This is my homework. But yeah. And I'm also really grateful for my activities, I guess, because not only did it give me stuff to write about in my essays, but I think I made a lot of memories from it. And a lot of my friends that I still talk to now are all from those clubs that I did.
One thing that you just said that really sticks out to me, especially, is doing it for yourself and having those memories and not just worrying about doing things for college. At the end of the day, it's hard. I get it for like students in high school right now to kind of like
Yeah.
see their life beyond just getting to college. But if you ask yourself, what did it all mean looking back? Like for you, someone who did everything authentically, you have like memories, friends, a lot of growth that you've taken on to college. When I was thinking about you heading off to college, like I was never worried. Where some other students, I'm like, there are some things that beyond just the books that they could probably improve on if they want to be successful later on, right? And that's like
Hmm.
simple stuff that I think you and I might think is simple, but for others, that skill hasn't been developed yet. And that's like
Hmm.
being organized, being on top of things, and being communicative. If you remember what I asked, what you want to do in the future, you and Lauren both
No.
said this.
What
Um,
did I say?
you guys are like, "Ah, I just want like a 9 to 5 office job, like
Oh,
just like."
yeah. I remember now.
I don't know if that's still the case. I won't ask you because things will change over the next 3 years. But if that is something you end up doing, these are all skills that are bare minimum, but also surprisingly are what make people successful, which is like crazy to believe. You're
Hmm.
like, what? Staying organized? Yeah, there are adults who are unable to stay
Yeah.
organized, and it's really
Oh.
insane. Is there anything that you worked on during CollegeBound or during our time together that still helps you today in college?
Time management, definitely, because I was always really busy, especially my senior year, first semester, because I was going to school and then after school I'd have practice for the essay or something, and then I'd have my work days for ASV until late at night, and then I'd have homework to do, and then after my homework I'd be doing like my college homework. So I think that definitely helps because a lot of the times when I'm doing homework for my classes here, I feel like I have so much to do, but I always end up getting it done. And like all of my friends always say, how are you like already done with your homework? Like I'm just gonna save that till like an hour before class and just like chat GBT it really quick. And I was like, okay. But I think that definitely helped a lot. And then just like college apps in general, knowing what I wrote about in my essays will definitely help with the club apps, especially at Berkeley, because the club applications are basically college apps again here.
The time management thing is so true. I don't know if you know this quote. I don't know who said it, but it went something like, if you want something done, give it to a busy person.
I've never heard of that one.
Overall, how do you feel like you've grown from the college app process and since high school in general?
I think I got better at reflecting, just like understanding why I did things and what I accomplished and getting more insight and stuff. Cause I feel like at first, like when writing my college apps, I was very direct. I never really could take away what I learned from my experiences. And then that's where you came in and you're like, do you mean this? And I'd be like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. But I think I got better at realizing what I really learned from my experiences.
And now that you've completed a semester of college, what do you realize actually mattered the most in your application?
Being able to tell a story and show how you've grown. Because, like I said before, if you're in a club just for the title and you're not really doing anything, you're not really getting any experience or you don't have any story to tell. But obviously, if you did do stuff and went through some challenges, then there is a lot to say or to show what you learned in your essays. The idea is just like not doing it for the title, because I know a lot of people do that, but a lot of the people I met so far at Berkeley, all of them have been involved in like a lot of extracurriculars, like more than I have, whether it's like sports or internships like their sophomore year of high school, but a lot of them did do things because they enjoyed doing it. So I think that's how like we all got into the school in the first place.
What part of the process do you think students usually underestimate?
Figuring out what topics you want to talk about in your essay. Like I said before, I thought I would just be staring at a blank screen. Like, oh my gosh, like what do I even write about? I'm just gonna have to write about, oh, I was like a leader in this. But then that's why like I'm really grateful for your exercises, because that helped a lot too. Just figuring out how I changed or like what to write about. You'd always be like, why this? And then I'd be like, I'm not sure, but I mean, it
Fair.
helped. So
What do you not stress about anymore now that you're in college
Mm.
versus a lot in high school?
I'm not involved in as many clubs as I was in high school, so I'm not stressed with getting so much stuff done because I'm only in like a few clubs at Berkeley, but compared to high school, I was like in so much. And then I know it sounds bad, but I guess like keeping like a 4.0, because I feel like that's really hard here with all the classes and stuff, because classes here are definitely more difficult than AP classes that I took in high school. But once I got here, I just realized, oh, it's okay to like not have a 4.0 or like all A's in the classes, because even the smartest people I know here don't even have A's. So yeah, but I still try, of course, but I guess I'm just coping with like, it's okay to not have A's, I guess.
That's a like super great observation. Berkeley, of course, like all the classes will be harder and more challenging than any high school class you've ever taken. As long as you try your best and like really engage with what you're learning in, which is why like earlier I was like, like for your breath and whatever you have to do, take advantage of what you're really interested in, because it will help you get that A in the first place. Just because you care about it more, you'll work harder at it. But also beyond college, the next thing, you're probably looking at are not only clubs on campus, but career related stuff, internships, and then your first job later on, that first, cushy 9-to-5 desk job. And you're going to go through the same process. No essay writing, but a lot of talking about yourself. And people who really do things for the sake of themselves instead of following a prescribed path that other people have maybe done. You'll have more interesting things you've learned, more interesting things to say to other people who want to learn more about you. And it's really going to come through down the line in the way you think, speak. And a lot of successful people I know did not have a perfect GPA in college. Some of them actually had really bad GPAs. I'm not saying flunk your classes or anything, but I think the common ingredient they had between students who, try to get really good grades or just try to do well in school and do well in their careers is that you have to know your shit. So at some point, you are going to have to dig deep, grind, and like know what you're talking about and know your skills. If you could go back and tell senior year Chloe one thing right now, what would you say?
Don't be stressed. I think I was just way too stressed my senior year with all the activities going on, plus with like decisions coming out. I think I would just tell myself, don't be stressed. You won't go to community. You'll be fine. And then just enjoy my senior year, because like sometimes I'd be spending time with my friends and then I'd like disassociate and be like, oh my gosh, like this college is gonna come out in a few days. If I don't get in, I'm cooked.
You think senior year Chloe would listen to you still right now?
Probably not, but it's okay.
Who do you think CollegeBound is most helpful for, and who is it least helpful for?
I think most helpful for students who are like in extracurriculars for like the sake of like themselves and like wanting to like grow or to learn or like get experience and not just doing it for the title, obviously. Least helpful for just students who like need really like last minute help, who have like their essay written now and just like need your help. leaving comments or whatever, because I think it's definitely a whole process with the exercises and you getting to know me and then figuring out the topics. And because essay writing, especially for college apps, takes a really long time because you'll have multiple versions of each essay before you submit it and you're going to have to tweak a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
What would you say maybe to a student or a parent who's on the fence?
I tell them to give it a try. Like, you're like goated at like college apps. I think like if they were like other college consultants, like I said, all they do is like, leave comments or like peer review your essays that are already written and stuff. But I think like, you're just really hands-on, like you know what you're doing. At first, they might question, why can't we just like get it straight into the essay writing process? But the part of just you getting to know the person is so important. And that helps so much because I think if you didn't get to know me, you wouldn't have made me realize all of the things I've learned or grown from, and I wouldn't know what to write about in my essays. But yeah, a lot of the times whenever you told me like, oh, like what about this? Sometimes you knew me more than I knew myself. So I think that's definitely really helpful.
I appreciate it. And yeah, like I said, you're so hardworking, super organized. You had so much on your plate, but you still managed to get everything done. Now you're at Berkeley and
Yay.
super happy for you and for what's to come next. So the last question that I have for you is what's one goal you have for yourself by the end of college?
Hopefully I would have gotten into a club somewhere by the end of college and hopefully some internships, but I know that won't be coming this year because a lot of the times it's like we want like a junior or senior or someone with years of experience in this. But yeah, hopefully I would have went through an internship by the end of college.
No, you will.